Hello, my beautiful people. Okay, I'm going to cut through the bullshit. I'm not going to give any cute little intro because today, friends, we are going off the freaking rails with one of the most off the rails people that I know. We've been chatting back and forth. He promised me all of the unhinged stories. He's here to answer all your listener questions, give me all of the MTV Challenge tea. Guys, buckle up, buttercups. Welcome to the podcast, Polly.
Oh, I don't know what stories we're going to be telling, but best believe you're going to get some raw footage here. Verbal raw footage.
Yes. We need to clear. That is an important clarification. But Polly, I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like we go way back. Like, I didn't realize we went so far back till I started doing research, but it's been a minute.
Yeah, we go like way back. I'm and bear with me, right? Because I've got concussion brain in terms of my memory. But was your season of Big Brother, was that right before my season or was it right after in the in-between?
It was right after. So I was after yours right before Josh's, like that weird middle season.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were in that middle season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely going way back here. Man, what a
Polly,
ride.
I forgot that we were on the same season.
Really? See, I'm not that bad. I knew that we were on the same season. I remember War of the Worlds 1. I remember coming in and being like, you know, you should definitely get close to Johnny so that we can have a good alliance so that he doesn't target me. And then, you know, you went on and dated him. So you took my advice full force.
Yes, Polly. Okay, we're going to get into all the challenge questions. We're going to go through legitimately. I have notes and I have the listener questions. Guys, we're going to go through we're going to go through Vendettas, Final Reckoning, War of the Worlds, US, all the shit, the Hall Brawl, whatever. But first, Polly, I have to ask, as I ask every single guest on this podcast, what is the most off-the-rails thing that you have done lately that's like not reality TV related?
Lately? I mean, I don't know if this is considered off the rails or like just off the rails for me, but I mean, I got baptized. So I feel like a lot of people would probably sit there and be like, that's pretty off the rails for you, buddy.
Yes. Polly, that's literally what I had written down. I was like, I'm going to ask him like the unhinged off the rail question and then like the wholesome off the rail question. Because I looked at your Instagram. That's what a lot of people want to know about. You got baptized recently, posted about it on social media. One, look, I love Jesus. Yay. So I think that is so awesome and just so cool that you were able to post about it and feel so open and you love Christ, all that. But I have to ask, what led you to doing that?
Oh, man. That is a story for another time. You know, realistically, I think everybody has their rock bottom moments in life. I had a couple rock bottom moments in my life, like early on in my life. And instead of, I guess, taking that path towards healing then, I essentially did the complete opposite and was like, I'm going to just be this unhealed version of myself, you know, for whatever. I kind of buried a lot of things, you know, deep within me. I related like, oh, I'll get myself out of this rock bottom moment by becoming successful. So, you know, when I saw success in my 20s, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I achieved this success because I kind of pushed out the big guy upstairs. So it kind of kept me on this path of like seeing success, but then also crashing and burning in epic fashion, you know, whether it's on TV or whether it's in my real life. And it finally got to a point, I want to say like 3 months ago, where, you know, I wanted to break the cycle on all of it. And, you know, kind of a lot of things were eating away at my brain, you know, and I just wanted to be free of them. So I really started the journey of mental health, started going to a lot of therapy, started getting back into, you know, the good book. Something that, you know, most people probably don't know about me is, you know, there was a point in my life where, you know, bad things had happened to me in my 20s. And, you know, I'm not going to get into all those now. But, you know, when I made that choice to bury and not go towards, you know, the big guy, I went to the other guy, you know, downstairs. And I was like, well, homeboy upstairs wasn't looking out for me, so let me see how I fare my chances with you. You know, and you know, as he does, he listened, but there's always a price attached to everything. So any monetary thing that I experienced that was good was also met with some other things in my life where I was just like, this is just absolutely crazy. Like I thought that I was going crazy in my head. You know, he gave me, you know, let's call it fame, right? Of like putting me on TV, but with the caveat of, hey, you're going to go on TV and then you're just going to be this absolutely unhinged, you know, villain that's not going to be well received by viewers. You know, so gave me more infamy than fame, right? You know, and I started kind of catching all these little caveats as I had like this introspective look at myself recently, where I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot to this. And I also felt like when I first started the journey to break free of that, it was absolute chaos. So, you know, as you try and break free from, you know, the grips of Satan, grips of the devil, more and more things start to become unraveled, because it's almost like a war for your soul. So, you know, he's going to try and beat you down as much as possible so that you were like, all right, fine, stop. I guess I'll do this. You know, and that's what kind of finally led me, you know, into this. And I feel like this was the culmination of me finally freeing myself of all of that. I took all the beatings, I took all the lashings. And, you know, this past Saturday was finally that moment where I was like, all right, I have, you know, given my penance, so to speak, you know, and you know, obviously you have to prove yourself to God, and you have to prove yourself in that realm. So I think after God saw all the lashings that I took and was still kind of, you know, putting the faith up there, I was like, hey, you know, I'll keep taking these beatings, but you know, I'm ready. I'm ready whenever you are.
That.
So yeah, that's how we got to this point.
That's awesome. I truly, truly love that for you. You look just so happy in the photos. Like, I really do think that you can see in just the photos of your baptism, just like almost like a weight lifted off your chest. Like, it is interesting, like seeing it from another perspective. Okay, my
You're
question
awesome.
now is, you have found God, which we love, been baptized. You sound very secure where you are in your faith. You've separated kind of real life from reality TV. Moving forward, I'm assuming if you get the call, you'll go on the challenge again. I think that people would love to see you. Are you going to act and approach the shows differently now that you have, you know, been baptized?
Absolutely not. I think in the sense, right, like this baptism for me was, you know, because I was baptized, you know, when I was born. My family's Italian. That's just how it is. I feel like, you know, being baptized as an infant, you don't have any memories of anything.
Right.
And I almost don't know if that's a way to, essentially, as soon as you start to realize what life is, the devil immediately starts his work on you, right? And you have like this protection, you know, from, you know, maybe your family, maybe your community, maybe something, but you don't really understand what the baptism means, which is why I wanted to take the step to do this. However, as I approach the game, the only thing that I'm going to change game related is just my mindset going in, where, you know, my focus is going to be on winning. You know, it's not so much going to be on vengeance and vendettas like it's been on so much in the past. And as I reflect back on a lot of the, you know, ways in which I approached these competition shows, you know, everything was very much reliant on vindictiveness and vendetta aspect of things. And I would always make it so close and then crash and burn in epic fashion. So I think the only thing that I could, you know, rest assured in my faith is I'm going to do whatever I am going to do, you know, but I'm going to do it for the higher purpose of, you know, winning and, you know, being able to attribute that win, you know, to God. So still going to be that same guy, still going to probably talk smack, probably going to get into people's heads. But you know, I think I'll pull away from like the low blows,
Okay.
so to speak.
All right. We love to hear it. We love the growth, the story arc of the villain who came from BB18 and now is this godly man ready to win the challenge. And honestly, Polly, like I'm excited to watch another season of you, and see where we're going. Okay, but before we get into the challenge, I'm gonna get so distracted. Okay, focus. Let's talk about Big Brother. That is where you got your start. That is where we got introduced to Polly and also your brother. So for those who live under a rock, he was on Big Brother 18. You did it with Cody. You guys got very different edits. Very, very different edits.
Well, Cody was on 16.
Oh, he was on. There we go. He was on 16. Sorry. Cody was on 16, and then you followed in his footsteps on 18. He was kind of like, I think it's safe to say, maybe like a golden child. He got like this like glowing edit. You very much went on your season and got a little bit of a villainous edit. Was that hard for you to kind of be edited in that light when your brother was, so well loved?
I think it wasn't really that hard for me from the edit standpoint. I mean, I haven't watched my season back, so I just go based off
you never watched it?
No, I never watched it. I go based off of, what my dad and my brother said, and they were like, hey, man, like for the first kind of half of the season, like you were getting that golden boy edit, and everybody was kind of like dying over you. And, when that switch happened and it went right to the villain, it was like such a explosion of hatred. And I mean, I can only relate it to the fact where it's like, if you're a polarizing character and you're able to captivate one side of the audience, and then, you almost have the whole audience, if you do something that splits it right down the middle, all those people that loved you, it's like they almost take offense to it because it's almost like, we rooted for you. How could you do this to me? Like I look at it in a sense where it's like, hey, I always want to captivate the entire audience. So whether you love me or whether you hate me, that's the middle ground that I want to be in. Because there's always room for, arcs and downfalls, whatever you want to call them.
If you also want to be successful on TV, I tell so many people this who get just so invested in people that they hate, and they're like, why are they like this? And it's like, you have to have people you hate. You have to have a bit of both. You want to be well liked, and you also kind of want to be hated in order, if you want to see any longevity on these shows. So I kind of think that like it benefited you.
I mean, I think it did, because I don't think I would have had the TV career that I've had so far if I was the same as my brother, because then there's two of us that are exactly the same. I run into a lot of people that don't even know that me and him are related.
Really?
And and that's such a crazy thing to me. But because we're so polar opposites in kind of how we entered that, it is what it is. But for me, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's more fun to just, have people hate you and love you than to just be loved. And, now we live in a world where even the most loved people are critiqued all the time. I mean, I don't know where it happened. I feel like Cody and Derek almost get the Nickelback treatment where it's like they were so loved on season 16, and then it's like every season after that, Big Brother house guests just love to, out of nowhere, just throw strays at them. And I almost feel like it is that Nickelback-esque where it's like, hey, we hate them for ruining how, modern Big Brother was played and everything, and we want chaos. And I sit there and I'm like, do you really want chaos? Because when I came in and brought a lot of chaos, you guys were like, this is terrible. This is awful. But I do think timing is everything, right? I feel like if I existed in the early, seasons of Big Brother, I don't know if I would have been, such a polarizing villain where people actually have this hatred. I mean, Evil Dick is flicking cigarettes at women, on his seasons, true. And spitting at people, and and I'm sitting there being like, well, I didn't flick no cigarettes at people or spit at people.
Well,
what I mean?
Polly, do you think that after this edit, you obviously you heard about the backlash, you kind of felt the hate from Big Brother 18? Do you think then you leaned into being a villain, and do you think that helped you on the challenge?
I definitely leaned into being a villain for sure. in the sense where I was like, well, all right, if I can kind of protect this, I feel like people who get really good at it, they then feel the need to showcase what their real life is in order for people to be like, oh my God, I love you. Like, you're just like me. Oh my God, you go to this restaurant. You like pizza.
Like me,
I love
Polly.
pizza. Yeah, like
I want
you.
everyone to like me.
Exactly. And like, I felt like I was able to kind of protect my personal life because it was just kind of like I never had to showcase what I was doing, nor did I want to, because anytime I showcased like, hey, I'm doing this charity, it was always met with, oh, you're only doing this charity because, people hate you. And I'm like, well, no. But, I don't do things for the people who dislike me. I try to do things just for myself.
Yeah.
But if I went into the challenge as like this golden boy person, then I think I would have gotten eaten up, chewed up, spit out, and thrown all over the place. Because it's a different world in there.
Yeah, no, 100%. Which leads me to my question, which I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you were supposed to be on Vendettas, right? Like, that was supposed to be your challenge debut. I want, Polly, look, I feel like there's so many rumors of, like, just what happened and why weren't you there and you got dropped. What is the truth behind that? Like, why were you not on Vendettas?
So the truth behind me not being on Vendettas is I had an entertainment company in New Jersey.
Okay.
We do weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, sweet 16s. We had this huge like subwoofer that we would do on that we would bring to parties. And I was carrying that subwoofer with one of the workers. I was stepping down off stage. I didn't step enough away from the stage, and they kind of let it go a little bit. And that giant subwoofer came crashing down on my ankle, and essentially tore ligaments in my ankle and broke my ankle. And this happened. That was a Saturday. We were supposed to be leaving on a Monday for Vendettas. And I messaged the producers basically saying, hey, are we going to like come right off of a plane and, go right into a challenge?
Give me the scoop.
Yeah, I was like, and they're like, sorry, we can't tell you what we're doing. And I was like, well, here's a picture of my ankle. And I sent it to them and they were like, all right, well, do you still want to do it? And I was like, well, that's really based off of what are we going to do for the first challenge? Because like, I want to come in and yes, I can play a certain type of social game and I could kind of, make it a couple weeks on this hurt ankle by just playing up like, yeah, I'm a shitty competitor. I just keep coming in last place. And they were like, we can't tell you. And in my head, I was like, I kind of feel like we're just going to come right out and do something like that. And we did. Now, in hindsight, if I would have been able to know that Rogan's back was going to spasm, I would have just did it. And I would have just walked up the mountain. I would have limped up the mountain. And I would have somehow, figured out how to stay and do it. But everything happens for a reason.
Right.
I do wish that I would have been on Vendettas. Just because I've never really gotten an individual season on any season that I've been in, and I feel like that would have been the season where I could have, really been myself, and showcased myself as like just an unhinged individual player. But
hey,
everything happens for a
look,
reason.
you got brought back, but I am curious. So you pull out, your ankle's hurt. Were you scared that was it? That was like your one challenge opportunity and that they weren't going to call you back? Or were you pretty confident that they would call you back in the future?
I was, I was pretty confident because as soon as that happened, they immediately put me on X on the beach, and they put it in the context of, well, let's just get you under the MTV umbrella. Let's get our audience acclimated to you, and let's go from there. So like I remember doing X on the beach. I remember, talking to the producers of X on the beach, and I was like, yeah, this was fun and everything. I said, but like, what do you want me to do? Just go and randomly yell at people for drinking too much? Like there needs to be a competitive aspect of things for me to have shit to talk to people. Otherwise everybody's just having fun and partying, and I'm not going to be that guy that just out of nowhere is like, hey, quit drinking, you bunch of friggin' idiots,
Oh my God,
So,
Polly,
yeah.
I forgot you were on X on the Beach. Wow, us X on the Beach family members. What good times
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. Okay, so like, yeah, and I will say, like, I think once you go on X on the Beach and you hear, like, there was ripplings on my season. Like, I feel like once you go on, you kind of know if you're going to be pulled from the challenge. Like, producers talk to you. I remember I was like halfway through my season X on the Beach and they pulled me aside and they're like, hey, like, we're interested in you. Did that happen on your season to X on the Beach?
They pulled me aside, numerous times to kind of be like, hey, what's going on here? And I was like, I'm on vacation.
I'm
And
drinking.
they were like, yeah, they were like, oh, like, we were just expecting to see the crazy guy from Big Brother. And I was like, competition show, not competition show. I said, you want the crazy guy, you know where to put me. And they were like, well, we might have something up our sleeve. And I was like, well, they knew I was supposed to be on Vendettas. So I think that once they, got a little taste of me there, I was like, all right, yeah. I mean, if you want some fun, put me there. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of chill here. You're putting like all these hot people in front of me and drinks. I'm just going to be having a great time. I'm not going to be sitting here arguing with people.
Wait, so
Be
you
like,
weren't you weren't crazy on X on the Beach? I didn't watch your season. Like, you didn't have any like big blowout moments. I
No,
was
I
the
really
only
wasn't.
psychopath on that show, apparently.
Yeah, you were the only psychopath on that show, and that's fine,
Okay.
and that's what we love you for it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I was having a good time. I was like, they're like, hey, doesn't this person piss you off a little bit? I was like, I mean, why? Because they're drunk? I was like,
Okay.
I'm in Hawaii right now. Like, there's a
See, that's
waterfall
not
outside
fair.
here.
We had to film in Malibu. You got a good location. Okay, so like you were on vacation. I was not.
Yeah, I was like, there's a waterfall outside. There's a giant pool. Like I'm jumping off of things. I think what did it for them was there was a point in time where, the producers were outside and there was this massive diving board. And like I climbed up the side of the diving board instead of just going up the ladder. And they were all sitting there being like, if you fall and die, we're not responsible. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm not going to fall and die though. And, I kind of scurried myself to the edge of the diving board, like with just my hands and like flipped myself off of it. And they were like, all right, so you're not afraid of heights. And I was like, no. And I was like, they were like, all right, great.
Put me on the challenge.
I was like, well, put me there. I'll be fine.
Oh, we love that. Okay, so then from X on the Beach, you went on Final Reckoning. You were with Natalie. You were partnered up with her. You had a really good season, Polly. Like, you and Natalie, I will say, impressive. I did my research. You guys crushed it. You made it to the final. You won so many dailies. I think you were, correct me if I'm wrong, were you in the longest elimination in challenge history? Is that what people say?
I think, if not the longest, definitely one of the longest ones. I think it was like 7 or 8 hours.
Hell to the no.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I mean, that elimination was a little crazy. I mean, we were in the redemption house for a good amount of that season.
Okay, but you fought your way back in.
We fought our way back in. I think what people don't realize about that elimination is, Tony and I were going to keep eating probably until we died. And I think what did it for them to finally like kind of tap us out from the eating portion of it is like a couple hours went by and we're just shoveling these cookies down our throat and this rancid milk. And there was a moment where both of us just kind of threw up, probably more than what should be thrown up. And I think there was a lot of blood involved in the throw up too. And they like looked at it and they were like, we should probably tell these guys to like stop eating, because they might actually injure themselves.
Or die.
Yeah, or die. It happens.
Okay. All right, 7 hours. Wow. Impressive. Okay, so you made it to the final on Final Reckoning. That was your first season. Like, you really showed up with a bang. I have to ask, how does it feel, or does it affect you to come in so strong your first season and the last season? We're going to get into season 40, y'all. But your last season, obviously, we saw recently you went in against Theo. You went home very, very early. Is that hard to grapple with, coming in so strong in your last couple seasons, maybe not living up to the expectation?
I mean, as a competitor, it definitely weighs on you a little bit. as far as like living up to the expectation, I don't know if I look too much on that, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I was crazy enough to, call out the biggest guy in the house and be like, don't care what the elimination is, we're just going to do it. And now in the challenge, like there's a chance that it could be anything. And I liked my odds in 99% of the eliminations that I could have been tossed. So for me to sit there and be like, man, I got the hall brawl, which is probably the one thing that I didn't want against somebody that size. And lose, it's like, all right, I lost, but everybody there watched me throw myself as hard as I can into the biggest guy there, which, has its own psychological aspect of things when it comes to the competition.
Did you get concussed in the hall brawl?
I did, yeah. Two nice, juicy concussions. But yeah, I mean, I don't really take it too seriously. Like, this is the only time that I think like challenge fans are like hypocritical. Yeah. Where with everybody else, especially new people, it's always, what have you done lately? So with somebody like me, it's like, oh, props to you, man, but like maybe you just don't have it anymore. But with people who, won shows like, I don't know, 20 years ago, who just haven't won since, or like 10 years ago and haven't won since, it's like, it's okay, you're still a legend. It's like, okay, so I guess the what have you done for me lately only applies to certain people.
We don't gatekeep names here. Who are you talking about, these legends who have won so long ago?
Oh, I mean, like, since. Listen, anybody whose name is not Johnny, CT, Cara, Laurel, or Jordan is all on that freaking list of people who have won 10 to 20 years ago, but the fans will give them a pass being like, oh, it's okay because like you used to be so amazing, so like yes. But for I feel like the newer generation of people, like we're held under this microscope of like, if you have a great season, it's like yay, and then if you have a bad season, it's like you'll never be good. And it's like it took a lot of them seasons in order to be good. And also most of them competed on like team seasons where it was either you made it to the end and you won, or you made it to the end and you lost. There was not like these different combos of like paired seasons, single seasons, and all of that. So, that's the only hypocrisy that I see in the challenge fandom is it's like they'll give people more leeway who haven't won as long as they won like 20 years ago. Yeah. But any new people that are trying to win, it's like, do there. And like, to be honest, their hypocrisy is what caused, 4 years of absolutely boring television with, no enticing characters arguing with each other. Some would call it like the Kumbaya era of the challenge. And it's like, if they're not careful, they may permanently get Kumbaya challenge, which no one
wants. We're here for a show. Speaking of the fans, the challenge fans, the lovely little challenge fans, on Final Reckoning, that was when you met Cara. I have to ask, Polly. Everyone wants to know, what is the status with you and Cara? Are you together? Did you guys break up on season 40? Like, can you tell me where you guys are both at? Because if I don't answer this question soon, people are going to turn off this podcast. Literally.
Yeah. I mean, we are not divulging where we're at, but I can say I am not at my house.
Okay.
Right now, and somebody's probably scurrying their feet around somewhere.
Okay. So
I don't know where.
I'm going to read between the lines here and assume that you are not on the market right now.
You can read between the lines correctly.
Okay. Okay. So, you know what? That you don't have to divulge the info, but I guess that indirectly answers my question.
There's articles out there that they can read.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm curious about Final Reckoning and Cara. You guys had like a very polarizing start, like friendship, relationship. I want to ask, like, when you first walked in the house and you saw Cara, what was your first impression? Did you think you guys would be where you are now, like this like serious couple? Like, basically, I feel like one of the main challenge couples that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't think we get the love that, you know, a lot of challenge couples get, but I think that goes along the lines of little things. I think, you know, she's a polarizing character. I'm a polarizing character. She has enemies. I have enemies. You know, I think from the very beginning, I don't know what it is. I think a lot of challengers project things. I think they're professional gaslighters. I think
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that they are shocker. I think that they project a lot of what they're doing. You know, so in the beginning, you know, there was obviously an attraction between Cara and I.
Polly,
you know,
I want your first impression when you saw Cara. Like, what went through your mind?
Oh, I mean, you know, listen, I'm a baptized man now, Morgan. The first impression that went through my mind, you know, when I saw Cara was, I'm about to cheat on my girlfriend at home.
Okay, so you knew instantly. You knew instantly.
Yeah, I knew instantly that was going to happen. You know, it was just a matter of like, you know, you're meeting somebody, they're involved in the show for so long, you know, what is real and what is fake. And it was like, am I really going to ruin this entire relationship over somebody that I just met who has, you know, done all these shows? And, you know, once again, MTV people definitely have a reputation. And they definitely had a reputation at the time of like, you know, do you just hook up with people for storyline? Or, you know, do you actually look for authentic relationships? And when I saw her, I definitely wanted a authentic relationship with her. And that's kind of where I was at. Otherwise, you know, why the hell did I stick my neck out on the line, you know, when I saw her getting treated poorly? You know, the smart play would have been to just be like, I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to be over here. And I'm going to let whatever's going on over there happen. You know, but I didn't. And I didn't because, you know, I felt compelled to, you know, do that because of, you know, feelings that I was having for her. And then obviously as the season went on, like those feelings grew and grew and grew and grew. And even though I was in the redemption house and she was, you know, doing her thing in the main house, when we finally got back into the house together, everything kind of picked up where it left off. And, you know, the rest is history. And, you know, I will say that if we could go back, maybe we would have did it differently so that there wasn't just like the crazy, you know, media outcry. You know, I would like to say you're welcome to the challenge world for bringing people that actually want to talk about the show into the challenge world, because we all know that certain people set up dates and put them in the, you know, 5th page of Us Weekly and nobody talked about it. You know,
wow,
but
that's ringing some bells.
but me organically just, you know, getting with, you know, somebody who I had feelings for, all of a sudden it's national news everywhere and people are like, what the fuck is the challenge even? You know what I mean? And now obviously the show has grown into a staple everywhere and everybody knows what the challenge is. But I remember people from shows I never even heard of commenting on the relationship status. And then obviously, you know, challengers commenting on it being like, oh, this is fake. This is for storyline. This is for this. And I'm like, project a little more, would you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're sitting in her home right now, so like obviously it was authentic. I think we can all agree with that one. Okay, wait, we have to move on. Oh my God, Polly. Okay, there's so much. We're
just two ADD people.
I know. Well, also like you've been on so many seasons and there's so much to cover, but like let's quickly dive into Were the Worlds One, because that was where we first kind of crossed paths. And MTV. I will say, I remember I was like called to go on the show, and you were one of the first people that like sneakily DM'd me, and it was like, hey, so word on the street is, and I just remember I was so thankful for that, because look, I had gone off 5 weeks of filming X on the Beach. I was not, honestly, like I wish I would have gone on a season where I didn't film that first, because I was just not mentally in a great spot. But I just remember I was like, okay, like I know Polly's gonna be there and I know he's gonna have my back. And I know we had discussed this. I don't think it was ever aired or talked about, but had Ninja not picked you first, I was going to pick you as a partner. Like, we had discussed that. We were back and forth between, did we want to work together? Did I want to pick Johnny? And I really do think had she not picked you last minute, I would have probably flip-flopped and chosen you as a partner, just because I felt like that was so much safer. Johnny was someone that, like, low-key terrified me. as a partner. So yeah, do you think had I picked you, we would have done well as partners?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think we would have had the same result that Ninja and I had. I mean, we came out of the gate, you know, and if you would have won that, you know, I think you came in second place. You know, I think the only reason why Ninja picked me is because I came in first place.
Yeah.
But you know, after that, I mean, you were in the tribunal for the first challenge, and then Ninja and I won 4 in a row after that. I think that would have been very similar to the kind of results that you and I would have had. And, you know, we would have been able to, you know, leverage those wins and kind of carry out the way that Ninja and I
Wow.
carried out for that whole season. So, you
How
know, it
my
was
life
one
would be
pick away.
different, Polly.
So different. But honestly, you picking Johnny like was smart in the sense where I thought it was at least going to protect me and I was going to be able
Yeah.
to protect you. It just so happens that, you know, Wes came back after a big hiatus on the flagship, and he was there to prove a point, and that point was proven. You know, it's just the bad cards that were dealt.
But in a weird sense, I would not be sitting in this little podcast chair. I would not be talking to you in this podcast studio if things did not unfold the way that they did. I would like my money back for like my intense therapy bills, but beyond that, like I don't really regret picking him as a partner, and I'm so thrilled that you and Ninja had a great season and I got kicked out second. And dated someone for 3 years. Like, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. You know, COVID's crazy.
COVID is fucking wild. Yeah, COVID times. Wow. Okay, so we did War of the Worlds. You did great on that. You also made a final in War of the Worlds too. Then, Polly, you took a little hiatus on Total Madness. I want to ask, because the rumors have floated everywhere, why were you not on Total Madness? I think we've all heard that there were failed tests, that you were blacklisted. You obviously are not blacklisted because you have been brought back, and so has Cara. So, like, what is your take on why you stopped getting the calls before Total Madness?
You know, I don't know. I mean, that will always remain a mystery to me. There were no failed psych evaluations. That was just a rumor that was put out there by everybody. You know, blacklisted. Once again, I think that was a rumor that was put out there by everybody. I'm a little confused, you know, because my contract was signed. You know, we were 7 days from leaving to film. The reunion happened. There was a little bit of, you know, scuffles that happened the night before the reunion. I didn't really think it was anything that would cause, you know, one person over the other people to get pulled off. You know, I do feel as though I was punished, you know, when it wasn't, you know, like it takes 2 to tango, you know what I mean? Or in this case, you know, 5 other people to tango. And, you know, the fact that 5 other people weren't punished, you know, and I remains a mystery to me, mainly for the fact that, you know, it's not like I wasn't the main character and storyline for War of the Worlds 1 and War of the Worlds 2. You know, so the challenge in its past and in its history and in its everything would say that if you have somebody like that and there's people that doesn't like that person, it's almost guaranteed that all those people are going to be on a season together. So I think that was like the beginning of the Kumbaya era of the challenge, and you know, it is going to remain a mystery. It's one of the things that I, you know, regret the most. I mean, you know, you have 2 characters like Cara and myself sitting for 4 seasons. There's a lot of questions behind it because.
Do you think, Polly, that certain cast members were responsible for you guys not being put back on the show?
I do believe that there were certain situations, you know, that happened. You know, we're not gonna, you know, dive into it crazy, but there was a lot of phones out that were taking a lot of videos that night by multiple castmates, and those videos definitely made it to producers, and you know, with the caveat of, you know, this person is we don't want to do a season with this person. You know, if you decide to bring this person on the season, like, you know, either we're not going or like, we're going to, if anything happens on this season, like then you guys would be held liable. I don't know exactly what it is. I would love to
Polly,
be a fly on the wall.
As someone who was
I would love to be a fly on the wall.
As someone who was a little fly on the wall, I think you're right on the money with that one. That's all I'm going to say. Allegedly. I can't confirm, but allegedly. Yeah. I think you're very correct on phone calls being made. I might have, I don't know, heard a few. Anyways.
Oh, you might have overheard some calls that maybe, were along the lines of, hey, don't bring this person back or else.
Yeah, allegedly. I can't confirm anything on this podcast because that would just be wrong and lead to I don't know, lawsuits or whatever threats. But yeah, I think that would be
I have been told that no things have happened of that nature. Okay. I have been told that, by producers. I've been told that by castmates that they would, people would never ever do that or ever listen to something like that. But I always had my suspicions, and if I was a little fly on the wall or had a little fly on the wall, maybe you are the fly on the wall that I should have spoken to about a lot of things.
Yeah, but see, Polly, at the time I was so allegedly brainwashed that I don't think I would have, probably helped you out. But all that matters is you are back. You are no longer blacklisted. We are. I mean, not that you ever were, but you are back on the show.
That I ever was.
Not that you ever were.
We don't know. I mean, allegedly, who knows? Maybe this will get me blacklisted again. I don't know.
No.
But I don't think so.
I do think it is. Yeah, it is interesting. The whole challenge world. I just think that so many people don't realize, and this is my personal opinion. You don't have to agree or disagree, but I think certain cast members basically are the casting team. I think I don't think people realize what goes into who actually shows up on the show. And I'll just leave it at that. But I'm so happy that you are back.
You mean that when everybody has been saying that they don't want the Vacation Alliance cast every season, that there's a reason why they get cast, even though they, aren't really what the people want to see?
Yeah, I have an inkling that yes, that is correct. That there's so much going on behind the scenes that the viewers are not aware of, that maybe cast members are not aware of, but whatever. Season 40 is on, and I will say I watched for research purposes because you and Laurel came on this podcast. I did watch the first couple of episodes, and it is actually it is a badass season. So it is a badass season. We're gonna get into that, but real quick because I want to touch on this. I wore my rainbow boobs shirt. USA 2, you came back. That was such a monumental season because you had taken 4 seasons off, even though it wasn't the flagship show. You're back on the challenge, and it also was the season that you decided to come out, which is such an amazing, brave, awesome act. I don't think I've got to talk to you about it since that, but I commend you. I applaud you. I think that is so awesome that you are standing in your truth, unapologetically yourself. But I want to ask, what made you want to do it on USA 2? That is such a scary thing to do on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it was really scary. I was this close to just not doing it at all. But I felt like a lot of the, anger and aggression that people had seen so much of was essentially me not understanding my triggers. And understanding my coping, and as you know, in that house, there's a lot of people that can set off a lot of triggers, in your brain. And I feel like people just needed to understand this side of me, and know the work that I did, to get to this point, so that way they can maybe look at all the layers of me and not just what they've seen. And once again, with moving forward, I feel as though whenever I've had beef with people, it's always just been brushed off for, whatever reason. We have a lot of online therapists that are just he's, I don't know, little man syndrome, Napoleon complex, all these things. First of all, I'm 5'9". I know I'm not the tallest guy
Look,
in
Polly,
the world.
short kings are in.
Short kings are in.
Yes, they are.
I know they're in. And I always just, laughed at it because I was like, all right, this is just a lack of understanding of who I am. First of all, like, I could care less. Like, to me, like, come from sports, like, height was never a thing. Like, I was a wrestler and a soccer player. Like, there's not really many 6 foot something soccer players and wrestlers. And I never really thought that would be a thing. I mean, I've done seasons where I'm standing next to Hunter, who's like 5'6", and I'm standing next to, Nelson, who's the same height as me, and a lot of people are kind of the same height as me, barring like, the Zachs and the Theos and the CTs and the Leroys, who are just these massive, tall guys. Even Derek K's like a 5'6" guy. So like he's standing here next to me, but like people are like, oh yeah, dude, you've got little man syndrome. I'm like, sure, I guess I do. But I don't even know what that means. Like I'm not a psychologist, so like I don't know what it is. But I feel like most of my aggression came from, stuff in high school that, I had to go through, and stuff in college that I had to go through. And then, once again, you're in this environment that almost is like a bunch of grown-ups in high school. And it just, it triggered me. So I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest and be like, hey, this is this other version of me. I've also learned how to deal with these triggers. So they'll no longer, like, if you see me angry, it's not because of these triggers anymore. It's because maybe I am actually pissed off at somebody. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, where that was at. And I had a lot of anxiety.
What was the reception like after you came out?
It was really amazing. Like, a lot of people showed a lot of support, more so than I could have imagined. It almost makes me feel bad that I didn't talk about this sooner, because I feel like I could have helped way more people. With the amount of DMs I get, from people saying that I've changed their lives, I've given them the courage to come out as bi, asking me questions on like, what am I feeling? Like, is this normal? And a lot of other people being like, hey, you're an inspiration to, my son, you're an inspiration to my husband, things of that nature. Like apparently there's a lot of, married men, 2 women who are bi. And, a lot of these wives have reached out to me saying, I never really understood my husband, but he's able to basically just point at you now and be like, I'm like that guy. And it's really helped their marriage and stuff like that. So that's the benefit of it. I wish that I came out sooner, in order to help more people. Obviously now, once again, even coming out, saying that I'm baptized, like now people are sitting there being like, wait, how? And I'm like, listen, man, my walk with faith is my walk with faith.
Right. Right.
I don't really like to be a Bible thumper. I don't really like to beat people over the head with the Bible. My interpretation of, what I'm reading is that, Jesus loves all of us. Yeah. And, we're all his children, and whatever path we choose to go, as long as we're walking in the path of God, then we could do that. Now, I wouldn't say that everybody agrees with that, but even on the, the baptism post, like I expected there to be way more backlash because, I'm getting baptized as a bi man. But once again, it was very overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So I'm just very, blessed, and it just goes to show, like, I had started that journey, with God before coming out on national television. And, it just goes to show that when you do turn your life over to him, all your fears can be taken away, because I thought I was going to get crazy backlash coming out as bi on national television, overwhelming support. Once again, I thought I was going to get backlash getting baptized as a bi man, overwhelming support. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to show that, you put your faith in him. Yep. And, the rest is off of your plate. Like, there's really nothing that you should be stressed about or worried about.
I think it also goes to show that vulnerability is strength. I always say that here. It really is. And I think so, especially men, I'm sure, on reality TV, you guys are probably so scared to be vulnerable, but really all it does is make you more relatable. And I think that I wish that's what more people could realize is everyone just wants to relate to someone, you know? Like, there are probably so many people who are looking at your story specifically and they relate to it, and now they feel comfortable to then maybe speak out like you did, or maybe realize that they aren't alone. So I just think it is so awesome, and I wish more people would follow your lead. That, yeah, it's fucking scary, I'm sure, being on reality TV and having a following and not knowing how people are going to react. But I think you're a great example that if you just stay authentically true to yourself, one, you're gonna get a good response because people know that you are being authentically you.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're always just being authentically you, right, at least the people who support you, right, are going to authentically love it, right?
Yep.
Being authentic also comes with your hot takes, right? So, like, you know, when you say your hot takes, the people who maybe don't like you, but like the people that you have hot takes about, like, you know, they're not going to have great opinions about you, but there's not a single person that could sit there and be like, well, you're faking it. Like,
Right.
you're being authentically you. So, like, through the highs, through the lows, through the vulnerability, through the, you know, good, the bad, the ugly, everything, you know, you just got to be yourself. And, you know, we're not all perfect. And, you know, I think what I want to try and get through to people now is, like, you don't really have to be perfect. You just have to be authentically yourself, and you have to hold yourself accountable when you do fuck up. And, like, you know, there's only one person that could judge you, and that's God. You know what I mean?
Amen. Okay, well, we're running low on time, but I want to quickly touch on season 40, this iconic season with all the eras. It's airing right now. You were on it. You got the call for that season. What was your first reaction to being on, like, this iconic 40th season?
You know, I kind of cried a little bit because I was like, you know, given everything, right? Like, given how I came on to the show, you know, I have, like, a true passion for the show and a true passion for competing. So, like, when that got, you know, ripped away from me for all that time, like, there was a little piece of me that was missing, and I had to learn how to cope, and I had to learn how to, you know, do whatever. And everything is a blessing. Like, I've been able to build businesses. I've been able to invest in real estate. I've been able to do a lot of things that maybe I wouldn't have been able to do, you know, if I was constantly going back into the cycle. You know, so it did give me that break that allowed me to have perspective. But to get the call for 40 and kind of be considered, you know, one of the people to represent my era, you know, it made me a little bit emotional, you know, because given that crazy path,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't think there's ever been a challenger that has, you know, been in their prime that got the show essentially ripped away from them in their prime, you know, to then come back, you know, admittedly, past 2 seasons that I've come back, I have not been in the kind of shape that I was in for War of the Worlds 1 and War of the Worlds 2 because I was an absolute machine. I had a little bit of a dad pouch. I wouldn't say a dad bod, but I had a little bit of a dad pouch. You know, but kind of being there, I was like, all right, this is real. Maybe all of those unknowns that we don't know about, maybe all of those unknowns are done, and, you know, I'm back in the cycle and I'm back in the circuit, and you know, I can do what I love, which is compete and you know, make good TV. I guess just being myself.
Yeah. Who were you saw the cast season 40, who were the 3 people, you can't say Cara because that doesn't count because we know she's a favorite. The 3 people you were the most excited to see on the cast, and the 3 people you're like, oh my God, I do not want to see you right now.
I was very excited to see Naya, just because I have heard a lot about her. You know, and you know, until you actually meet her in person, you know, the TV doesn't do it justice. Like, she is a presence. You know what I mean? Like, she is a 6'1" Amazonian goddess, and she's just so dope. She's just a vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she really is so chill. She's probably one of my favorite people that I met. You know, loved her to death.
Okay. So we've got Naya, who the other 2 that you were like jazzed to see.
Katie.
Okay.
Just because, like, I just think she's a little spitfire. And she's just like hilarious in her own way. Like she still has like she may not have that spitfire going at people anymore, but she's still a little spitfire. So things would come out of her mouth that would just absolutely leave me rolling. And I would say, obviously I've known, Mark for a long time, but I've never actually played a game with Mark.
Okay.
So it was nice to actually see the Godfather like in the house, there and being like, all right, like he's here. This is cool.
Let's
I
play.
actually want to see how he plays the game. I was interested to see how Nia played the game. I was interested to see how Katie played the game. Unfortunately, three of us went.
That's fine.
Elimination one.
Who were you like not pumped to see?
I'm never pumped to see Laurel.
Okay.
Just because, she's a good competitor, right? I'm not going to take that away from her, but she also has the ability to literally early on, if she's against you, she has the ability to rally people early on because they're just intimidated, of her. And that, me going into this season, I kind of wanted to play like a under the radar, for the first 2 to 3 weeks before kind of being like, surprise, I'm here. But as soon as I saw her there, I was like, that is not going to happen. And, within the first 48 hours of being in the house, it's like I saw her rallying the troops the way that she was rallying them on War of the Worlds 2. I knew there was trouble that was coming down the pipe. I didn't know how soon it was coming down the pipe, but the fact that trouble came down the pipe right away with me and Cara, being in the elimination, obviously I had a little bit more to do with mine than I think Laurel. But I do think that Michelle and Horacio were petrified of Laurel, and I think that even if I went in soft and didn't go after, Theo the way that I did, I still think it was going to be that because that is what the word on the street was that was going down.
Okay, speaking of Laurel, so we obviously saw that her and Johnny kind of had a reason, or Bananas, or whatever the fuck people call him. They had a reason to throw Cara in, but it seemed like you and Bananas had a truce going into the season. So were you more upset at him? It seemed like there was more fire against Laurel. Like, what was going through your head? Did you expect him to go against Cara when you guys are like buddies?
I didn't. I didn't expect him to do that. I learned very quickly, something that everybody knows, right? Like, he's always going to do what's best for his game. He thought that was best for his game. Even though we came in with a truce, there's still that underlying thing of like how much merit does this truce has. At the end of the day, this guy shook my hand and threw me into an elimination the next elimination last time we played together. I thought that, USA 2 just kind of coming in the way that I did, that was going to hold merit here because I was under the, guise of, hey, if we can put the fire out between Cara and Laurel, this could be very good for both of our teams. Mm-hmm. But once again, Laurel's a very intimidating person. And, Johnny's smart enough to know that if she's pushing for something, if he just puts his hands up, it really doesn't have any blowback on him, But where my disappointment came from was like, I know that if he really wanted to, he could have stopped it and saved it, and he chose not to. But once again, there's a bunch of different things at play. Like I was pushing Cara to have a conversation with him before, because I felt like that could have twisted it in her favor. But Johnny and Cara are both kind of cut from the same cloth in terms of their stubbornness, especially when it comes to the game. So, it is what it is. It happened. Was I crazy worried about Cara going into elimination? No, because she wins eliminations.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was more so worried when I didn't come back from the elimination being like, all right, what now?
Okay, speaking of your elimination, looking back, hindsight's 2020, right? Do you regret throwing yourself in against Theo? Like, would you have done it differently now that you know the outcome?
I don't regret throwing myself in against Theo. I mean, I feel like that wouldn't have been authentically me. Hearing somebody saying that they wanted you after you had already had a discussion about like keeping a truce until it got to a point in the game where it was more individual and, we could settle it in the sand there. We had the conversation of keeping the team strong. Obviously, I feel as though I'm a strong player on that team. Regardless of how I feel about him, I think he's a strong player on the team. So if I would have done anything differently, it wouldn't have been authentically me, going into a deliberation, hearing that somebody wanted you. And, it's the challenge. So I'll still call Theo out 10 out of 10 times, knowing that 1 out of 10 might be a hall brawl. And even though the hall brawl didn't go in my favor, it took him throwing his entire mass at me twice, to get me out. And, maybe if I don't get hit in the head both times as hard as I did, and maybe if I go in with a different strategy and I absorb the blow a little bit rather than trying to go ego-driven, maybe it's a different outcome. But I'm not going to change what happened. I'll call it this is my Johnny Bananas backpack moment. And for better or worse, if I go on and win the next 3 or 5, people will still bring this up to tell me that I suck.
Sure.
So,
so you and Theo, do you still have a beef with him? Have you talked to him since the episode aired? Like, where do you guys stand?
I mean, like I said, like outside of the show, I don't carry anything, with it. Like I look at it more of like an athlete mentality, and so does he. I think he handled himself, with grace as a winner. And I respect that, so like it serves me no purpose to be being nasty on social media towards Theo, him being nasty at me. Like that's just not my vision of like what playing this game should be. I think that if the challenge ever wants to win an Emmy, I think we need more of the craziness in the show, less of the craziness out of the show. Keep it to fun banter. But Theo and I, like he knows that going on whatever season we're going to go in, I'm like, hey, bro, listen, you got me good. I'm not going to forget it. So, in your mind, you may have finished it in the sand there, but in my mind, we're just getting started because I took all these years off, put to bed all of the things that I had done, and you hunted me down like a dog, coming back after all these years. So now in the off season, I'm going to, turn myself back into a lion, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to bite his head off.
Hey, we're ready. Because I'm sure you guys know, like you left the house, but you don't ever like leave the house, Can you tease anything for us listeners about this season?
Well, from what I know from little birdies that have told me,
allegedly, it's all alleged.
It's all allegedly. What we have to see. I mean, I don't think we'll see any eliminations quite like night 1.
Okay.
But the dailies are, going to be insane. The drama is going to be insane. We've already seen some hookups. There's definitely some more hookups to come. I do think we see a little glimpse of like the old CT pop out a little bit on somebody.
Okay.
And I do think, it was hinted at a little bit last episode with the falling out of Josh and Tori. I do think that the fans may finally see the Vacation Alliance have a little bit of a fracture.
Okay.
In their solidarity.
Okay. I'm saying we, like I'm acting like I'm going to watch this season. Maybe I will. I don't know. But we are ready.
You will.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
You'll see the highlight. You'll see the highlights.
Yeah. Look, I follow enough T pages still. Like they'll fill me in. Okay, Polly, real quick. I want to go through rapid fire listener questions. Like the first answer that comes to your mind. We're gonna get through these as literally quick as we can. Just hit me with that unfiltered Polly thoughts. Okay. I'm gonna give you some names. Give me the first thing that comes to your mind when I say it. Josh.
Pushover.
Okay. Kyle.
I was going to say hair plugs.
You know what? That's fine. That's first reaction. Hair plugs.
It really is. Like I couldn't not see them.
Look, whoever
Like,
his
when I
doctor
first-
was, great job.
Yeah, I mean, when I first met him, I was like, "That's what those look like."
Okay, Michelle.
Ooh, she's a. I don't know how to put it. She's a snake.
Okay.
However, like she could bite you a million times, and she's still that good to rope you back in.
Okay.
She's that good to rope you back in, but she's venomous.
That's kind of a compliment. Natalie.
Yeah. Which one?
Your partner, Natalie Negrati.
Oh, choke artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the eliminations that we did. We only lost not because she wasn't good. And I've had my fair share of choking, and I don't mean that in the.
Okay, sure.
We've all seen me dive off a cargo net, fail in a final, so it takes one to know one. But we never lost a lot of those eliminations because she wasn't capable. We lost a lot of those eliminations because she got in her own head.
Okay, fair. Bananas.
And she did run the wrong way.
And she did run the wrong way.
It's a $1 million mistake.
First thought, bananas.
Used car salesman.
Ooh, good one. Theo.
Dumb as rocks.
Laurel.
Sociopath.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to do superlatives now. Who are you giving most trustworthy on season 40?
Most trustworthy on season 40. Damn. That's a tough one to say with all those thieves.
You have to give one.
Yeah, I guess Cara is the most trustworthy one. I thought I couldn't say Cara. Cara's definitely the most trustworthy one there because I think Cara just wanted friends this season.
Okay.
So,
hey, look, I can see that one. Biggest slob.
Biggest slob?
Yeah.
Oh my God, freaking everybody, man. Like I have a thing in the challenge house. I take a plate, a bowl, utensils, and a glass, and I take it and I put it in my, like, next to my bed, and I hide it. And that is what I use to eat every single time because that is the only guaranteed way of knowing that I have clean stuff to eat and drink out of.
Love that.
Every single person in there is disgusting.
Well, give an award to the most disgusting.
Man, I don't even know who the most disgusting person would be. I was not there long enough to actually analyze that. I mean, I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna just say Theo just because.
Just because.
He seems
okay.
He seems like a slob.
Biggest snake.
Biggest snake on this season?
Yeah.
After that performance with Josh, Tori.
Okay.
I think that was performative to me.
Okay. Most underestimated.
Most underestimated, Aviv.
Okay. Most annoying person to share a house with.
Most annoying person to share a house with. Are we talking? I mean, I would say Theo just because he doesn't shut off.
Okay. I can see that. I can see him.
He has his,
okay.
Yeah, he literally doesn't shut off. Like as soon as he wakes up, it's just like constant. Like it's funny until it's not funny. If he's getting laughs, he keeps going until he gets the ooh.
Okay, you know? Okay. Who's the funniest?
I mean, Leroy's obviously the funniest.
Okay. Who's sexiest, male and female? I'm sorry, you can't give it to Cara because we know you're going to say Cara. So take that out.
Give it to Cara?
Can't give it to Cara.
I mean, male, probably give it to Corey.
Okay.
He's a stud. Female, this might shock a lot of people. I'm just making it known I'm not allowed to say your name. Amanda.
Oh, I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because she definitely has done herself up way more recently, but I think because she has kind of like that devil, realness to her, it adds the layer
I mean, she
of, like,
she
attractiveness.
terrifies me. But yeah, I can see how maybe that.
She's a nice person, you know, like deep down.
I know. I think she probably is. I just never ever want to be on her wrong side ever.
What is she?
She's a nice person deep down.
What did you rate her?
Oh, she Morgan wanted to know the sexiest male and sexiest female, and I couldn't say you.
Emily.
Oh, Emily is so hot.
Yeah,
She is so hot.
Emily very attractive, and I'm not going to say my reasons why I didn't pick her because I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait.
You know, I think Amanda also has a face card of sorts.
Okay.
Like I think Emily's all body
Oh, okay.
and eyeballs.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Why
but,
is no
yeah.
one saying Nerys? I'm sorry, Nerys
Well,
is
I'm
hands
not
down the
saying Nerys
sexiest.
because hold on, I'm not saying Nerys because I'm being respectful to Horacio. She's my friend.
Wait,
so
why
that's
don't we
like-
just give the sexiest people to Nerys and
Honestly,
Horacio?
Nerys and Horacio are definitely the sexiest. I think we forgot about them
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
dating, but
They're
hands down, they're the most.
their
attractive
children
people.
are going to be stunning. Okay. Literally one word answers: dream partner for a future season.
Can't be Cara.
I can't. No, because that's the obvious.
Yeah, I know. Dream partner for a future season, maybe you. No, I would want Amanda as my partner.
Wow. Okay,
It
this
would
is.
be- well, because she's good. She just never has a chance to show how good she is because
Okay.
she's always getting thrown in early.
All right, that's fair. Who would you want to be least partnered with?
Least partnered with. Least partnered with, I would probably say. I wouldn't want to be partnered with Anissa.
Okay.
Not
You know what?
because
Come on,
like,
justice for Anissa.
No. She's good. She's good, and she has lost a lot of weight. Justice for Anissa for sure. And she has very good social connections. I wouldn't want to be partnered with Anissa because I feel like she is an asset to be partnered with somebody else who maybe doesn't like me.
Okay. Well, look. Wow, Polly, you're really thinking ahead of the game here. What is the most unhinged thing that you have done in a challenge house that has not aired?
What is the most unhinged thing that I've done in a challenge house that has not aired? Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of War of the Worlds 1 was very unhinged. I don't think they aired 90% of just how unhinged I was in terms of like nastiness towards, the male castmates, specifically Kyle and Zach. But I would say, the most unhinged thing was in the Redemption House. I did, because we were so bored, I did all of the Dark Knight and all of the Dark Knight Rises. I did all of the characters full through, back to back. So we're talking like 5 hours of just performance by me in front of everybody. And it was the only entertainment we had.
Well, look, I'm sure it was great, and you deserve many acting awards for that. Okay, my last question. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to ask a couple more. I do this every single time. I did it with Laura. I'm going to make you do it. We have to do Fuck, Marry, Kill Challenge Edition. So, male edition, we've got Theo, Kyle, Josh. Yeah, we're going to go Theo, Kyle, Josh, Fuck, Marry, Kill. What would I pick? I'm going to let you go first. You go first.
Let's see. I would marry Josh because he seems like a really nice, sensitive guy.
Okay.
I'd fuck Kyle just to have that over his head for the rest of his life. And then I'd kill Theo.
Okay. I think I would marry Josh. I think I'd fuck Theo. I think Kyle seems so nice. I feel bad killing him, but I think that's my answer. Female edition, fuck, marry, kill. I would include Cara, but I know the answer. Michelle, Laurel, Jemmy. Michelle, Laurel, Jemmy.
Damn, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
I think I'd marry Michelle.
Okay.
This is a toss up because me and Jemmy are cool now.
Come on, we know the answer to this one.
Yeah, but like, would I? No, it's a toss up. Because it's like I don't know. I like maybe by fucking Laurel she would be nicer.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay, that's the strategy.
Maybe, but
strategy.
the strategy right there. But I would have to go fuck Jemmy, kill Laurel.
Okay, fair. And my last question, because I know I've heard Cara in the other room. Can you ask her why she blocked me on Instagram?
Hey, Cara. Morgan wants to know why you have her blocked on Instagram.
I really?
No, she doesn't have you blocked on Instagram. Ha.
No, I swear, I'm doing research purposes. I went to go creep on you guys both, and I cannot look at her profile.
If it did happen, I could probably tell you it might have been during the time period where you were the fly on the wall for certain conversations.
Okay.
But what?
She's not blocked. I see her profile.
Wait,
Your
really?
profile right now.
What the heck? Why can't I click on
You
it?
must be searching the wrong Miss Cara Maria.
No, I swear on my life, Polly, I went and I creeped on y'all's post. Anyways, okay, whatever.
She's holding up your profile right now to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I guess okay.
Oh, here she. Yeah, look, it's right there.
What
There
the
you go.
heck? Why can't I see it on my
Hold
end?
on.
But if she
We're gonna put this here just for research.
Oh my god, that's such a
purposes.
cute little profile.
That is. Look at the grids there. Definitely somebody's a professional.
It is a good grid.
Yeah, definitely not blocked.
What the fuck? Okay, well, there's a glitch in the
Listen, there's a
Instagram
glitch
universe.
because Josh and I have been trying to unblock each other for the past 2 years, but we cannot find in blocked accounts on both of our accounts where we are blocked.
I'm pretty sure if
So that's
someone
kinda
is
like-
okay. I thought if
No,
someone
that's
was
like the
blocked,
running joke between Josh and I. Like, we can't find each other in our blocked stuff, so we're like, we're not blocked, but we are blocked because we can't find each other's profile, and I can't tag him in
Weird.
anything, and he can't tag me in
Okay.
anything.
Well, I'm happy I'm not blocked. I was really sad for a second when I went to go look at her profile and I couldn't see it, but okay, cool. I'm only blocked by Wes Bergman. He is the only challenge cast member that
Oh.
has me blocked. I know, RIP.
That's random.
Yeah, he blocked me like way back in the day, but it's fine. Wes is again
It's
missing
fine.
out on some sick discount codes.
Oh, yeah, we see the discount codes and the trip codes.
And all the things. Polly, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Is there anything that we have not touched on that you want to just get off your chest or say to the fans before we wrap this up?
No, is there anything that you would like me to say? Was this unhinged enough and off the rails enough for you?
I think it was unhinged and off the rails. I'm excited to go and re-listen to all of this. I think we got through all the challenge questions. Good Lord. I'm tapping out on challenge, guys, challenge podcast. I've talked more about the damn MTV challenge than I have ever wanted to in the past 2 weeks. But Polly, again, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks so much for sharing your story too, and just again being authentically yourself. I think you're helping, honestly, so many people.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, well, come visit me in Nashville if you're ever bored.
I think we're going to be in Nashville in November.
Oh my
So
God!
We will be coming and visiting
I
for sure.
I actually will be home the month of November, so I would love nothing more now that I know that Cara does not hate me. We can get drinks. I was really convinced, and it was really making me very worried.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll meet up for sure.
No, we'll do it.
Yay. Okay. Well, Polly, before we go, if anyone wants to follow you and all your unhinged off the rails stories on social media, where can they find ya?
That's it. It's just at Paul Calafieri _.
There we go. You guys heard it here. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Like, listen, rate, subscribe, send this to your grandma, all the things. I will see everyone next week. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Off the Rails podcast. It's been real, it's been unhinged, and I'll see everyone next week. In the meantime, do all the podcast things, like, listen, leave a 5-star review, and catch up with me on socials at Off the Rails with Morgan. Bye.